they want young Americans to hate America. You know, when I grew up in New York, it was the time around 9/11. I graduated high school right around 9/11. And yeah, we were all furious, number one, about the attacks. But then on top of that, when, even though we hated Bush, when Bush came out and, we had a sense of pride for America. We didn't want to see America be attacked or be destroyed. New York City was a mess. People died. It's not a game out here. I don't know what you people think. You think this is a joke? These liberals running around throwing bricks and burning cars. They think this shit is cute. They think they're like the freedom fighters. Meanwhile, it's some of the liberals out there doing this stuff that are like, akin. I would equate them or compare them to the food activists. Like these people running up throwing soup on paintings because they want to stop oil use or something ridiculous like that. That's what I would compare them to. But what they don't realize is that this is bigger than you. This is a coordinated attempt by government powers, by non-government powers. This is something that's been going on for a long time. The Democrats openly supported deportations. They openly supported strong borders long before Trump ever came around. And then, lo and behold, Trump says he's going to run for president, talks about closing the border, and magically, poof.
Wow.
All of a sudden, the Democrats are anti-deportations and they're pro-open borders, something that they accuse the Republicans of being for my entire lifetime. And the funny thing is, it's the people that bother me the most, because politics are going to be politics. But the people who claim to be against all of this stuff, against crooked corporations and against, government overreach and all this stuff, the young Democrats, the liberals, the people I grew up with, all of a sudden, they just flip. All of a sudden, the media is your best friend and everything they say is true just because they're Democrats. And then you're gonna accuse people on the right of being in a cult. Wake up. You're in the cult. Let's see what else is going on out there. So, President Trump tweeted this. Here's an interesting development. Donald Trump, a once great American city, Los Angeles, has been invaded and occupied by illegal aliens and criminals. Now, violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations. But these lawless riots only strengthen our resolve. I'm directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, in coordination with all other relevant departments and agencies, to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to these migrant riots. Order will be restored, the illegals will be expelled, and Los Angeles will be set free. Thank you for your attention to this matter. J.D. Vance quote tweeted this and said, this moment calls for decisive leadership. The president will not tolerate rioting and violence. And Elon Musk also quote tweeted it and put, the American flag a couple times. This is an interesting development. I like to see this amid all the Elon Musk, Trump drama, whatever's going on there. That's a separate issue. It's like a family. You can argue with your family. You can have disagreements with your family, but it's still family. You can have serious disagreements with your family. You could maybe not talk to somebody in your family, but I would hope if somebody came to threaten the life of that family member, that you would defend your family, that you would be there to support your family, that you would be against somebody killing a member of your family, And we're Americans. This is our family. This is our house. We can disagree about policy all we want. It's absolutely insane that people think that America should not have borders, they should not have boundaries, they should not have rules. You can't just run. Peaceful protesting is not spray painting and damaging public and private property, breaking it, starting fires. That's not a peaceful protest. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Oh man, it really bothers me. It's like, I don't like seeing people destroy my city, destroy my country. Once again, the argument from the left is this was Mexico or this was Native American land or so. Guess what? It's not. It's America. The entire world, every landmass in the world has had fights, battles, wars, atrocities. Native Americans were killing each other over there over land, just like all the countries that conquered land did. Okay? Get over it. The truth is, the United States has been a symbol of freedom and has progressed in terms of rights for people, in terms of opportunities for people, more so than any other country in modern history that we know of, recorded modern history. That's the fact. And America's still a young country that's still improving. Okay? But we got to ditch this stupid narrative that like somehow this is somebody else's land or somebody else's country. Guess what? If you find a random piece of land out in the middle of the ocean that doesn't have, that's not owned by anybody, that doesn't, have a claim, it's not a country or anything, and you start a family, you move there with a woman and you have babies and you live off the land and you build a family, that's beautiful. It's not your country, right? If you were to have a huge family and then bring your cousins and a whole bunch of people and then build structures and then establish a government and have a military, a way of defending yourself, well, guess what? Now you have a stake that that's your country because you can defend it. It has borders. It has an ideology. It has rules. That's what a country is. A country is not a landmass. Just because people existed on this landmass doesn't mean it was their country. They didn't build a country. The people who came to America came to the United States, this landmass, North America, and built the Constitution and the military and all these things, they built America. They founded America. It was not anybody else's country before that. Okay? That's why Native American tribes, that's why African tribes, that's why European and Asian and all these different people who exist in the earth, on the face of the earth, that's why they have fought since the beginning of time to try to establish what they call their own. Now, could we make an argument or make a case that we would like humanity to be better than that? Absolutely, right? Would we like a world where people didn't own this portion of land and there was insiders and outsiders? I suppose that would be a beautiful place to live. But that's not reality. And most likely, even if people were as magnanimous and virtuous as possible, most likely that would never be reality because there's resources, there's scarcity, there's different personalities. There's, liberals want to tell you about all the variation in genders, but they don't want to talk about the variation in personality, right? I find that interesting. You have a million different genders and everybody's born different and everybody, you can't put people in a box and say that this is what a man is or this is what a woman is. But then they want to say that everybody's born good. And if we just stopped oppressing them, they would all just turn out good. That's completely it's a complete contradiction. Period. If there's all this variation, then you're going to have evil people, you're going to have anarchist people, and you need to have rules because if let's say 99% of the population are, quote unquote good. Let's say they want to follow the rules, even if there are no rules, just the natural human rules of like, don't hurt anybody else, kind of what libertarians believe, do no harm and all that good stuff, right? Let's say 99.9% of people in America acted that way. That's great. And that 0.1% of people that didn't act that way, right? Remember, there's like 300 million people in the United States. So I think there's slightly more than that. So that 0.1% is a lot of people. Now, what if that 0.1% of people decided that they wanted to wreak havoc on everybody else? But those other people were good. They were like, oh, I don't know why they're doing this. Can't we all just get along? And those other people who don't feel that way, they would just have a field day because you can't defend yourself now because all you do is look at the bright side and everybody get along. And then the people who are evil will wreak havoc. And they will eventually gain control and gain power. So there's no such thing as peace without the threat of violence. And that's not just human nature, that's nature. You know why certain animals don't go attack other animals? Because they know that if the mama bear or the papa bear or the male lion is around, right? He's going to eat you or kill you. So they don't do it. And then everybody has peace. That's the way of the world. So, I digress, but people got to grow the hell up. Seriously. Let's keep going. Let's see what else we got going on out there. So we also have the mayor of Los Angeles, who is a complete joke, a waste of space. I don't know. I'm counting the seconds until this woman is out of power. She is an absolute disgrace. And every second she breathes into a microphone it takes seconds off my life. Seriously. Let's hear Karen Ass. Let's see what she has to say.
We are
Bass,
going to
excuse me.
fight for all Angelenos, regardless of when they got here, whether they have papers or not. We are a city of immigrants, and this impacts hundreds of thousands of Angelenos.
Let's listen really closely to what she said right there. Let's go back.
Immigrants, and we are a city of immigrants.
One more
and
time.
This impacts hundreds. We are a city of immigrants, and this
Now,
impacts.
Listen to what she's saying. You know, if you pay close enough attention when people like this speak, you'll realize that they oftentimes give away the game. We are a city of immigrants. Now, on the surface, you might think that's a fairly innocuous and benign statement, right? No, she just means that there's a bunch of immigrants that live in California. You know, United States is open to immigration. A lot of people have immigrated. A lot of people have an immigrant parent, one or the other or something. That doesn't mean anything. Sure, if you take it on the surface, but if you look at what's going on in the streets, look at the trends, look at the laws that they pass in California, specifically in Los Angeles, but in California as a whole. Pay attention. We are a city of immigrants. What she's telling you is that the immigration, which is largely fueled by illegal immigration, is a main feature of their economy, of their political strategy. She's telling it to you. We are a city that capitulates to illegal immigrants or immigrants more so than the people who have been in America, right? If you want to come to America as an immigrant legally, apply for a citizenship, get a job, pay taxes, be a contributor, adopt American values, adopt American, way of living and stuff like that. That is what America believes in, and we're perfectly happy to accept that. But what California actually, the unspoken part she's not saying is we're a city of immigrants because we're the most progressive, retarded city/state in the country that has some of the lowest birth rates in the country because of the feminism and the woke ideology. We're not having enough babies. We can't reproduce our population, but we still want to maintain our economic and political stronghold over the rest of the country by having all these, extra Congress people or allotted to us and more delegates for electoral college. We still want to have those numbers inflated because that's how we flex our power. So we need to make sure we keep our population high because that's how it works. The greater the population, then that counts towards the census. Then you're allotted more electors, right? So what Los Angeles is doing is running a scheme of keeping their population really high, as high as they can, by importing a ton of illegal immigrants and using them both for cheap labor and to keep the population high, to replace the population that they're not replacing with natural birth, and so that they can maintain their power with electors and try to flex whatever they want in California and exert that power over the rest of the country. And, that is the closest thing to sedition and, insurrection. That's the closest thing to that we have ever experienced in our lifetime. Once you realize that, that's what's happening. If a foreign country did that, we'd be at war in 2 fucking seconds. But for some reason, Los Angeles does it. They talk about seceding from the Union. They talk about, turning it into Mexico again. They talk about defying the federal government, which, by the way, the entire country, including Los Angeles, including California, which moved toward the right, which voted towards the right or gained more votes for the Republicans than any previous election, in almost every county in the entire country moved towards the right, and Trump won every single swing state, the electoral college, and the popular vote. They support immigration and deportation as the number one issue, both Republicans and Democrats. Now, there might be a larger percentage of Democrats that are against it, but it's like 70% of Americans as a whole that support Trump's immigration, closing the border and deporting the illegal immigrants, specifically the violent criminals or just the criminals, right? And yet, Democrats, who are they capitulating to? Who is Karen Bass saying that she's defending? It's always the fucking same, and I can't take it. It's the illegal immigrants. It's the criminals that are looting and burning down stores during the Summer of Love 2020. I mean, think about that for a second. Not even a year ago, 6 months maybe, California was burning down from the heavens. It was a natural disaster they were begging Trump to come and help them with as soon as he got elected. You know how much property damage occurred? You know how many people lost their homes? How many people lost their businesses in California? And sure enough, here we are, 5 months later, and people are lighting cars and buildings on fire in California in the summer, and the mayor and the governor haven't said a damn word about not lighting fires in a state that was burning down in like a disaster that the entire country had compassion for not even a year ago. It's completely forgotten that, you know, when that was happening, all they did was blame it on, oh, it's because of climate change and it's so much warmer in the winter than it has ever been. It's because of the Santa Ana winds. And I tried to tell all of you, it's people starting fires. Now, could it also be there are definitely brush fires, that's true. But I find it so incredible that people can't see that this type of behavior, like if you had a city that was burning down during Santa Ana winds, and then that city very rarely, if ever, had random people publicly starting fires, I would blame it maybe. I would say, oh, you know, it probably is just the Santa Ana winds. But when you see this type of behavior of people just burning the city down, and then you have seemingly targeted fires that just destroy cities, very rich cities too, you know, the same type of people that all these agitators are against, these liberals, right? It's like the easiest connection to make in the world. It's 1 + 1 = 2. This is what they're doing. And so, speaking of that, let's if you may be wondering, like, what connection does that have? Like, why are you bringing up the fires other than to point out that the leadership sucks? Let's take a look there. So, excuse me. So Grant Cardone here. So here we have Grant Cardone, and he seems to understand the same thing. So we have another orchestrated and organized event to encourage the contributing law-abiding taxpayers and business owners to exit California. This is a land grab. Do not be deceived. This is not, nor has it ever been, incompetence. It's intentional. The goal is to get rid of law-abiding citizens by importing illegals and not enforcing the rule of law. Drive real estate values down and grab all the property back. Hard to believe? That's how they get away with it. It's communism, not socialism. If they pull it off in Cali, they can and will do it in other parts of America. Now, think about what I was just saying a few moments ago. It's the same state that doesn't want to enforce the rule of law, that allows the city to burn down during the fires, and then they're going to come out, they're going to blame climate change, they're going to blame Trump, they're going to blame whatever they can to distract from the fact that this is a concerted effort, what they're doing. Look at this. This is what Democrats want. They want chaos in the cities. They want to, you know, light the fire under, you know, in the belly of mentally deranged lunatics that are typically on the left, and these social justice warriors that don't know what the hell they're talking about. This is what they want. And then if I forgot who said it, never let chaos or crisis go to waste. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones, there's a famous line: "Chaos is a ladder," and that's what the Democrats are all about. They create chaos, and then they opportunistically try to spin it or use it to forward their agenda. I mean, you could make the argument that that's politics in general, but the difference is Democrats do it to themselves. This is the same. This is the same MO of the party that is the party of the KKK, the party that wanted to rebel, the party that started the war, the Civil War, because they wanted to expand slavery all over the country, and the newly formed Republican Party did not want that because that's government oppression, right? They're like, you can't tell us that we have to have slavery in our states if we don't want it. We don't answer to this federal government. We have individual sovereignty as a state. You can't do that. And the Democrats were like, well, we want everybody to just do what we say. And so they fought it out, right? And then you have these idiots that'll run around like, well, the party's flipped, and right, the party's flipped, and yet the party's flipped during the civil rights movement just because all of a sudden they started giving money to poor people. And that makes you think, oh, they gave them money and they gave them voting rights. And so that means that they just changed their entire ideology and all of a sudden everything flipped. Yet you can see that according to that logic, well, then they flipped again. They flipped as soon as Trump came along and started talking about closing the borders and deporting people, the same way Obama, who deported 3 million immigrants, illegal immigrants, and had the cages and all that. That was Obama. I know you guys don't know that, but it was. Go look it up for yourself. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I have a video of Democrats going on and on and on about how bad immigration is and how it's the Republicans that are the problem who want all these illegal immigrants. And sure enough, here we are today, and CNN will just change their narrative and make it like, oh my God, the Republicans and Donald Trump, and they're such terrible people. And the idiot Democrat liberals just sop it up and believe it. It's embarrassing. These people are mentally deranged.
Remember this.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported.
Oh.
If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
You wouldn't believe that looking at the media today, though. They act like Trump is the worst, most evil person ever for deporting illegal alien criminals. Yet Obama, Bill Clinton, and other Democrats were all on board with this for years up until Trump, and they're on tape saying so.
Committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked, they're gone.
Public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens.
We use phrases like undocumented workers. We convey a message to the American people that their government is not serious about combating illegal immigration.
Oh, really?
Wow. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked.
We will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace.
This is your reminder that Obama deported 5.3 million people and Bill Clinton deported 12.3 million. They were fine with it then. Why the sudden change of heart?
So there you have it, folks. The Democrats are full of shit. And, I just find it amazing that they'll sit here and have this footage is all over the internet. All you have to do is do some due diligence and look for yourself with an open mind. Don't look to try to prove that the Democrats are, no, that's not true, because just look at what Obama said about immigration, what Hillary Clinton said about immigration, what Bill Clinton said about immigration. Look at multiple different clips. Look at what they did. Like I said, Obama deported 3 million people. They called him the deporter in chief. And as and I was, as like in my early 20s when Obama was elected, I didn't really know about that. I wasn't paying attention to politics like that. I didn't know. If you turned on, late night television, like comedy shows like Jimmy Kimmel and Bill Maher, you wouldn't hear about him being the deporter in chief. Well, they might admit it now, but they wouldn't say it then. And most of them, maybe Bill Maher will a little bit, but most of them they won't. They'll just gloss right over it or laugh or say that's not true. The Daily Show. People's got to start realizing, I don't want to make it all black pilled and everything, but the media is not there necessarily to inform you. They're there to gaslight you and to push a narrative and to keep you distracted from what's really going on. This happens in general, right? The issue is that the majority of the media, and that's not just news, that's media, newspapers, right? Magazines, TV shows, social media, legacy media like the news, like CNN and ABC and 60 Minutes and all of these shows, they're almost predominantly liberal. Liberal/Democrat. Now you have establishment Republicans that I'm no fan of either, because when you get to that level, establishment, they're essentially the same, the uniparty, right? They might disagree on minor things, but ultimately they're war hawks. They want cheap labor. They want to expand government power, and they want to squash your rights to privacy and things like that. That's at the very top. That's essentially, they're the same when it comes to that. But if you truly accept that back in the day when people like Bush were in power, and then you abandon that just because you see a black person get elected, well, then you did exactly what they wanted you to do. You fell for the trap. You think Obama getting elected was just, oh, black people, we finally broke through. Grow up, man. Obama getting elected was a perfect opportunity, just like the Civil Rights Act in 1965, I believe. It was a perfect opportunity for the Democrats to present an image of equality, of, satisfaction and progress to the people, just coincidentally after the Bush years and all these wars that we started and the Patriot Act that was issued into. It was a perfect opportunity for people to fall back and be like, okay, we got a black, but we made progress. See, America's not racist. We've grown up past the Bush years. We got Obama now. Meanwhile, Obama did the same things, if not more. He essentially just carried on the Bush years. But people aren't ready for that conversation. I was in our head, that goodness breaking.